Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we are talking all about Instagram stories. I'm going to share some best practices with you so that you can get the most exposure for you, your business, and your brand. So let's dive in. We are going to cover 4 different types of best practices that you need to use for your business. And the first one is just as easy as it sounds. Just show up. Show up on a daily basis in Instagram stories. Now, while that sounds easy enough, there's something that you need to remember when it comes to Instagram stories. It is the one part of the app, the Instagram app, that is actually chronological to an extent. So the people who follow you and all the other people that they follow, they will see little bubbles, I call them head bubbles, at the top of their feed, right? And it shows them who is active on Instagram stories. Every time you post a new Instagram story, your little head bubble moves from the back of the line all the way up to the front. And same with all the other people that your audience is following. So while it's important to show up on Instagram stories, it's really important to show up multiple times a day. And when I say multiple times a day, I'm really talking, I think the best bet or best practice here is 10 times a day. And I know that sounds like a lot, but I'm going to make sure that you understand there's some ways to get around that so it is not too intense for you to do. So the first thing you want to think about is I like to write a list every day of 10 potential stories that I would like to put up there on a daily basis. And so those stories can look like me, a talking head, getting in front of the camera and talking to the audience, or it could be me sharing a post from my regular feed to my Instagram stories, or it could be me sharing a post from somebody I follow that I think would be really interesting for you to look at. It could be a little clip of my daily life. So 10 stories can add up very, very quickly. And you want to space those out throughout the day, like I said at the beginning, because you want your little face bubble to move up in the front of the line. So it's always visible when people open up their Instagram app. You want to make sure the first head that they see in the story section is yours. Best practice number 2 is how you show up. You want to mix it up and get creative with your Instagram stories. Otherwise, you become a little boring and predictable, right? So there's lots of things you can do within the Instagram story app to help you get creative. And one of the first things is you don't always want to be a talking head. So you can use some of the features like a boomerang or maybe even the layouts feature or super zoom. Throw some GIFs in there. Go ahead and put some fun filters together. Use all the creative things that Instagram Stories gives you so that your stories are always engaging. So once you get your creative outlet going, you'll want to focus on the third best practice, and that is tagging it up. And here's what I mean. Go ahead and tag up your stories. You want to use geo tags. You want to use the @mention tag. You want to use the hashtag, sticker, all of those things, because it really promotes visibility and exposure for you, your business, and your brand. And here's what I mean. When you use the hashtag sticker, you want to focus on using the biggest, boldest, brightest hashtag out there. And what I mean by that is do your research. So depending on what you're talking about, what your brand's all about, what your product is or your service is, figure out what is the most popular hashtag for that thing. Now, usually we tell you to niche down, but when you're on stories, you want to go big or go home. So go ahead, do your research, figure out what that big hashtag is, and then use it. And here's why. A lot of people are following that hashtag, right? If you are lucky enough, and it happens more often than you would believe, your story may be picked up by the hashtag story. And then all of a sudden your story is seen by thousands of people. And that's more views that you can ever get just by putting your story out into the Instagram stories universe and hoping for the best, right? So really make your hashtag work for you and get picked up by that hashtag. You don't really have control over getting picked up by the hashtag. However, the more you use this practice, the more you will see you will get picked up by the hashtag. Okay, the second thing you want to do, and it works kind of the same way as a hashtag, is using location stickers. These are really important because, like I said, it works the same way as a hashtag, where if I'm in Tampa Bay, that's where I live and work, if I use that Tampa Bay geotag or location sticker, I have a higher probability of being picked up by that location sticker and shown to people who follow the Tampa Bay sticker, which is really cool because then you never know who I can connect with and meet. Now, the third type of sticker that you want to use is the @mention sticker. And this is really important, and it's important to use it the right way. You don't want to become spammy and tag everybody you know in the story because it kind of dilutes the purpose. What you really want to do is pay attention to who's with you, who can benefit from what you're talking about, and what products or services you're using in the story that you're creating. So again, you don't want to tag people just for the sake of tagging people and hoping that you're going to get them as a customer or client or get some sort of recognition from them. You want to tag them with purpose. My final best practice for you is use captions in your story. This is so super important. A lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people watch stories without the sound on. Maybe they're, watching TV with their family, but they're thumbing through stories when there's a commercial and they don't want to disturb anybody. Or maybe somebody's in a meeting and they're not paying attention and they're watching stories. They want to hear what you have to say, but they can't turn the sound on. So just do a little summary on each story to get your point across. People will stay engaged with your story when you do that. And when you use the font section of your stories, make sure to keep it creative. Just don't use the same fonts over and over again. If you can highlight things with colors, if you can use the different fonts that are available just to make things a little bit more interesting, your story will go a long way. So you might want to throw that little end piece into the Get Creative section of our best practices. So that's it, you guys. Those are the 4 things that I use on a regular basis to keep my stories a little bit more captivating and interesting for my audience. I show up multiple times a day. I get creative. I'm not always a talking head. I'll use a boomerang, a GIF. I'll use different font filters. I'll use different fonts, all of those sort of things. I tag it up, make sure I tag people I'm with, make sure I tag products and services I'm talking about, but I don't spam. Make sure I tag people who might be interested in what I'm talking about so they don't miss it. But again, don't overuse that @mention sticker because you're going to tick people off if you're using it for spammy reasons. And number 4 is use captions because people look at Instagram stories without the sound on. Okay, thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.